All right. 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Brianna.
And I'm Akira.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, I told you a couple videos ago, it's unfortunate that sometimes you'll think some person who's not black is your really good friend. Maybe you've known them for years, right? Just to find out once you have a conversation with that person about race, you have a conversation with him about George Floyd's death or Trayvon Martin's death or any type of racism towards black people, you'll find out that a lot of them were never your friend, because a lot of times they'll end up surprising you. They'll end up saying some things, they'll show a side of them that you never knew existed. And the majority of black people can relate to this. It's probably already happened to you. I know ever since we've been talking about police shootings, I've completely cut off a number of people. Once we had these conversations and they start hitting me with these Fox News type of Donald Trump talking points, I wanted nothing to do with them. And I'm telling every black person, that's the way you handle people like that come at you with this nonsense. These type of people that claim they were your friend. You cut them off. That's a great way to combat racism, because friends are supposed to have your back. They're supposed to empathize with whatever it is you're going through. For example, if you got a real close friend, you would expect him to probably show up if one of your loved ones passed away, right? Someone who was really close, maybe one of your parents or something. You would expect your friend to actually show up at the funeral. Or even if he doesn't show up, at least show some type of sympathy, some type of compassion. That's what you would expect from that friend, right? Now, what you wouldn't expect is for him to say something after you just told him, yeah, you know, my so-and-so passed away. You wouldn't expect him to say, oh, come on, man, people die every day. Are you really crying about something like that? What about when so-and-so died? What about when this person died? I don't want to talk about this. Can we change the subject and talk about something else? Because I don't even want to hear about this. You obviously wouldn't expect your friend to react that way when you are expecting that person to have your back, to sympathize. But guys, unfortunately, that's how a lot of people who are not black are reacting when their black friend tells them about racial injustices, right? Black people getting shot, unarmed black people getting killed by the police, not getting justice for it. You find out that so-called friend, he doesn't care. In fact, it annoys him that you're even talking about it. He wants to change the subject. He wants to deflect and ignore, deflect and ignore. So the only tiny benefit we get out of these stories, out of these cases, George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, et cetera, are the fact that we get to see people's true colors. These things that happen brings out everyone's true colors. And that's exactly what Anthony Joshua seen when he started talking about Black Lives Mattering and why black people's lives matter. And why we shouldn't even have to say Black Lives Matter, because it should be obvious that everybody's life should be valued the same. But when Anthony Joshua tried to explain this to people, a lot of his fans, they showed their true colors. They turned on him because he was talking about race. Once again, I don't want to hear this. Why are you talking about this? What about the Irish that were oppressed 100 years ago? You had Tyson Fury, he had a problem with Anthony Joshua said. He was like, what about the gypsies? The gypsies, look how we get treated, et cetera, et cetera. And then he's going to try to diss Anthony Joshua for reading off of a piece of paper, as if he was trying to stereotypically call Anthony Joshua unintelligent, even though we all know presidents read off of a teleprompter all the time. Michael B. Jordan, when he did his speech on Black Lives Matter, he was reading off of some stuff that he wrote, because the message is important and you want to make sure you say everything it is that's been on your mind when he did his speech. Tyson Fury cared more about that than he actually cared about George Floyd dying, Ahmaud Arbery dying, and the list just goes on and on. But he's more focused on Anthony Joshua, how he delivers the message. Once again, it's always about deflecting. What about this? What about that? Right? The kind of stuff that they say. which never made any sense to me. People are trying to compare how the Irish were treated 100 years ago or how the gypsies are treated. But there are no unarmed Irish people getting killed by the police every other week. There are no unarmed gypsies handcuffed face down getting killed by the police. And they're certainly not getting killed where the police officer doesn't go to jail and doesn't even lose his job. So why would you even try to make a comparison like that? That's so offensive. That's like me telling you that I got 3 months to live and you sitting over here saying, man, I don't want to hear about that, man. You're not the only one that has problems. Doctor just diagnosed me with high blood pressure. He told me I can't eat beef for a whole year. I can't even eat steak now, and you're telling me about your problems? We all have problems, man. Get over it. You guys see how ridiculous that sounds? So Anthony Joshua, he went on a TV show in UK where they talked about racism, et cetera, Black Lives Matter. And I really commend AJ because he's been consistently supporting the cause. But he went on a show, and one of the main things that stood out is AJ, he wanted people to understand how important it is for everyone who has a huge platform to use that to your advantage so you can fight against racism, fight against these injustices. Because at the end of the day, numbers is power. And you guys always hear me tell you, one of the most powerful weapons in the world is a microphone and a camera. So you combine numbers with a microphone and a camera, and you got a serious ass weapon against racism. This is the reason why the racists in the comment section, they say, hey man, can you stop talking about this? I don't want to hear about this, because they know how powerful it is. They know the message is resonating. And that's the biggest fear of a racist, is for the message to resonate, which makes a racist feel more uncomfortable. A racist feels extremely comfortable if no one is talking about it. Just like a fugitive feels more comfortable if he doesn't see his face on the news, right? If he doesn't see his name and a picture of him on the news. So that's my take right there, but I'm gonna go ahead and quote exactly what Anthony Joshua had to say. Quote, "It's not a question of how do we make it better. It just has to stop across the board. These healthy conversations will help make a change because people will learn more about this and will educate their kids. I want to use my position as a sportsman with a big platform to put back into the community and unite and change the image. I don't want us to only be relevant when I'm knocking someone out or a police officer has his knee on someone's neck. I want us to have positive images, that there are architects, doctors, entrepreneurs, lawyers, value members of British society amongst the Afro-Caribbean community," end quote. That was a great statement by Anthony Joshua, but the fact that once again you have all of these fans that are not black that are turning on Anthony Joshua because he's rallying with Black Lives Matter, it just goes to show you that for the people who say, oh, you know, I love Muhammad Ali because of what he stood for, et cetera, that's just a cover up for them to try to alleviate their guilt of them being a racist by telling you Muhammad Ali is my favorite fighter, but coincidentally, you don't support any black fighters today. You're never in the comment section passionately defending any black fighters like you defend Tyson Fury or you defend someone who's not black. And yet you have Anthony Joshua who's fighting for a good cause, and these fans actually turn against him. The same fans that will tell you, oh, I love Muhammad Ali. Yeah, I love Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was doing the same thing. He was fighting against systemic racism. But see, this is the reason why they say they love some fighter like Mike Tyson or some fighter like Muhammad Ali, because these are fighters way back in the past. They're not relevant today. They're no longer a threat to a fighter you may like more than Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali. It's easy to just say after the fact, oh yeah, you know, that was my favorite fighter. They say this with Mike Tyson all the time, with Muhammad Ali all the time. But I gotta say this again, you'll never see them in the comment section defending Anthony Joshua for fighting against racism. Now, don't get me wrong, I always tell you guys that the difference from America and the UK is when it comes to boxing, at least, solely boxing, the boxing fans, they do support their countryman no matter what color he is. I always tell you that. If Anthony Joshua is fighting against a white guy from a different country, that whole arena is going to be cheering on Anthony Joshua. This is something you do not see in the United States. In America, it's the complete contrary. If the black fighter is American, all of the fans that are not black, they will boo the American and they will root for the visitors team just because the opponent is not black himself. And understand this, guys, everything that I tell you can be proven. That's why I love YouTube so much, because everything is documented. So if you want me to make a video, give you even more proof of what I'm telling you, just ask for it. I mean, you can see proof in the video footage of the actual fights taking place, or you can even see proof in the comment section. When you look at the stark contrast of how, once again, fans, they talk about the black American fighter versus the fighter who's not American. But that's a slight different conversation. Going back to the UK, the boxing fans that do support their countrymen when it comes to the ring. At the same time, surprisingly, soon as race was mentioned, that's when a lot of those same people that would support Anthony Joshua, they turned against him. Just like when the UK actor, what's his name, John Boyega, I think it is, the guy from Star Wars, when he went out there and he rallied, protested, even though you had a larger crowd that was there supporting everything he had to say in Black Lives Matter, you had another group of protesters that was there that same time that John was talking, and they were there to protest against the protesters fighting against racism. Just like All Lives Matter did here in the United States. But you notice those group of people that were saying all lives matter, they never show up when a black person dies. So if you truly believe all lives matter, then why aren't you hashtagging all lives matter, justice for George Floyd? Why aren't you marching down the street, even if it's just your own all lives matter march? Why aren't you asking for justice for Arbery or George Floyd while chanting all lives matter? We know what time it is. So getting back to John Boyega, he was protesting against systemic racism. He was protesting for Black Lives Matter. And he was met with racist people protesting against the protests. And this is in the UK. And we already know, obviously, a lot of those racists that were protesting against the Black Lives Matter movement, they were probably big fans of Star Wars, loved the movie, even loved John Boyega in the movie. But soon as John started to talk about race, those same people showed their true colors. Which is why I wish what people with cameras would have done in this situation is start to film these anti-Black Lives Matter protesters, so everyone sees who the racist people are. So hopefully someone who works with these people, they see them at damn near a KKK rally, because that's what it was. Next time you see something like that, you need to get it on camera, so everyone at that person's job knows who they're working side by side with, and all of the customers knows what type of people that company is hiring. Because if I know you got some damn Nazis working in your store, working in your restaurant, or whatever establishment you have, and the company knows about it and they're not gonna do anything about it, you're doing the public a favor, because now we know not to do business with you guys anymore. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. You know, I always say on this channel, pay-per-view fights should actually be free. And now the day has come where I'm about to hook you up with an app where you can watch all your pay-per-view events, boxing, UFC, etc. for free. I want to introduce Block TV, the best internet streaming television app out there. They provide over 3,600 channels, including HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Starz. They have a massive video on demand library with over 40,000 of the new release movies and the latest TV series. And it also includes DVR. So you're getting all of this for $34.99 a month. And once again, that includes free pay-per-view. So this one right here is a no-brainer, guys, because back in Las Vegas, I was paying damn near $200 a month for my cable. Those days are long gone now. So to get the app, make sure you guys go over to getblocktv.com and put in my promo code and get 30% off your first month. You also get a free month for every friend you refer. The promo code is DBNation.